Dan didn't have to go. He could have gone down to the airport. But, you know, he worked very closely with Hoss, and as I said, he was very keen on the story, and he didn't want to miss a big story on his last day.
I'm the observer. What would happen if the observer got shot? It would be very bad. But if you take up the responsibility, you sometimes pay the price.
Because of the danger, they decided it would be better to go en masse in a convoy. And unfortunately, in a way, the Reuters car was one of the first cars in the convoy of 5.
Ahmed, the day was clear like and hot like today. Here is when Dan said, Babuji, are you afraid? And I said, yes, I am. I said, why do you ask? He said, yeah. Then he kept quiet for a second, and then I told him, I said, look, there's nothing to worry about, and but if I'm afraid too, but I think if I'm shot, I will be shot with an American bullet and not a Somali bullet. That really showed that there was something in us which was, we were a little bit frightened of. All this area was full of people. And as soon as we came out, I was here, and they said, journalists have come. Everybody got away. I, Dan, and Anthony, we all moved in. People were bringing out dead bodies from this house, and it was really shocking. I went in, I did a few 10, 15-second shot of one dead person. And then there was another pickup, I did another one. The person who took the first turn out was somewhere about 10, 15 feet where that small tree is. And he just picked up the stone from there and he hit the first turn. Dan was behind me. Dan said, Babuji, let's get out of here. I can still hear his voice up to today. And I said, fine. I took the camera off my shoulder and I said, run. They all ran. As soon as I was turned back, that's where I was thrown on the ground, pushed on the ground, and I was attacked by the mob.
The crowd turned hostile. Some of the other cars realized that and pulled out. And our car, the Reuters car, backed away. So when Dan came out, the Reuters vehicle was a lot further away than it had been when he'd been dropped there. And as he tried to get to the car, the crowd turned nasty.
The hardest situation to deal with is a frenzied mob, because they cannot be reasoned with. I try to appeal to one or two of the most sympathetic and restrained-looking people with the most effective-looking assault rifles. But I've realized that no photograph is worth my life or any other part of my body.
Mohammed Shafi was shot and severely beaten, but he managed to escape the mob. After he was finally taken to a hospital, he learned that he was the only survivor of the violence. Journalists Anthony Macharia, Hansi Kraus, Hoss Maina, and my brother were all stoned to death by a Somali mob on July 12, 1993.
I don't know why this all happened. It was waste of human lives. I feel really sorry and hurt for the Somali elders and children and women who were inside that house who got killed. That was the reason why the locals were so much hurt. And I don't blame them at all. But they were full of anger, not only on whites, on all journalists. Tali, I do blame the Americans what they did. But up to today, you won't believe the truth is I'm living with it. I can't forget it. The main reason for me to come here is because I can't forget what has happened. Maybe I'm alive today to tell you what has really happened. Maybe that was the reason God had wished.
Oh, thank goodness you're here.
It has made me proud that my pictures, or the pictures of my colleagues who have risked their lives and done this hard work, and it has saved lives. That's the main thing. I'm proud that my life has not been wasted of being a cameraman in Africa.
I have never been more proud of my big brother than I am today. And I think he may even be proud of me too.
Dying to tell the story. We'll
1-278-7599. Take a look through the camera lens with journalists who risk everything. That's 1-800-278-7599. Call now.
TBS Destination Sunday. Next on National Geographic Explorer, it's Sockeye.
Dying to tell the story on the Superstation.
Plato said that it is only the dead who have seen the end of war, which means photojournalists will unfortunately never be out of a job.
Out of confusion and despair, I have finally found peace. I have not felt this calm in the 4 years since Dan died. In those years, many other journalists have died, and many more will in the years to come. But I can understand now why they live the lives they do. When I started on this journey, I had so many questions about why Dan would choose a career that could cost him his life, and whether or not his sacrifice was worth it. For the last 4 years, the hardest thing for me has been knowing that Dan died to tell a story, and yet the story continues. My brother didn't live long enough to see the end of war, and I may not either. But I believe more than ever that what we do matters. I hope that wherever we are, we can do something to make the world more peaceful. I hope one day we can live in a world where no one has to die to tell a story.
In the midst of carnage, of suffering, of chaos, of famine, and of war, you see acts of compassion, of kindness, of generosity, of pure goodness. And you often see the two, and this is one of the reasons why this is such an interesting way of living one's life and such an interesting experience. You will see the utter evil and the supreme good coexisting almost side by side in the middle of the most unbelievable situation.
As well as what we cover, which is so horrific sometimes, there's also the dignity of the people who struggle to survive, the people with the moral imperative to keep doing what they believe is right, the inevitable and indomitable spirit that people have.
I've come out of the war zones with a great optimism, because one of the advantages of hanging out there, and there are plenty of disadvantages, but one of the advantages is that you are witness to the heroism of a lot of people. And they're not usually people in uniform. They're civilians helping their neighbors through the savagery of the times. They're aid workers, even soldiers. Even in odd cases, journalists.
This small link in the Gettleman investigation could prove to lead to convictions and putting away forever some of the enemies of democracy. This is Dan Eldon, Kitengela.
Coming up next, Destination Sunday Alaska's grizzly bears and salmon lead interconnected lives on a special encore presentation of National Geographic Explorer. Next, on the Superstation.
You'd expect